Right, it is time to turn our attention to television. Not that there's going to be golf or anything else on this weekend to keep everybody occupied. Sue Murphy, if you don't like golf, what are we looking at?
I mean, everyone's going to be watching the golf. The big thing that I'm talking about is I'm slightly obsessed with it. I actually started talking about this morning with my husband again, and he went, please stop talking about this show. So I'm slightly obsessed. It's Them. It's going to be out tomorrow on Amazon Prime, and it's 10 episodes, and if you're into horror, then you're going to absolutely love this. But still, I think I don't know if you saw Get Out a couple of years ago that was Oscar nominated. It's very much in that kind of vein. It's a family, black family that moved to Compton, and they in a very white neighborhood, and they're just basically trying to set up their life. They're two young girls. They had a very horrible thing happen to them when they were in the South, and they wanted to try and just build their new life and get away from all of that. They have the horror of the white community that is on their doorstep, literally on their doorstep. I mean, this woman across the road pulls up a table and gets all of the women in the neighborhood to all play their radios to try and just get her out of her house. And it just escalates and gets more and more violent. That's all happening outside their house. And then in their house is haunted by something that's in the basement. So you have this brilliant thing with the real horror that's happening outside their door, where their girls are the only black girls in the school, where their husband is the only black man who works in that engineering department, and just the feeling of them being the other. And then there's the horrible thing that's happening in the basement. It is so good. And I got really, so I was watching it in headphones with the Liverpool match in the background the other night, and I genuinely kept taking out the headphones because I was getting so scared. I was just like, I can't do this. But there's a couple of jumps in the first episode that are brilliant. But the storyline and the characters and the plot, everything is just so good about this.
There's no such thing as a good jump scare, Sue, in my opinion. So Get Out, I would say, is more edging towards psychological thriller rather than horror, and for that reason, I saw Get Out because I'd asked a million different people, is this how horrifying is this? This sounds like it might be a level above Get Out in terms of the horror aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely. Right. It is the kind of, I always think old school horror, because it's the bit where your one who's showing them the house brings them up to the basement. She's like, you're really lucky, all these houses don't have basements. And I'm like, great, a basement, nothing's going to happen down there. But so you do have that old school kind of jump horror thing. But the honest to God, the horror of, she is putting books on a shelf and she looks out her window and about 30 women are sitting at tables outside her door with radios on, trying to drive her mad. And you're like, what is wrong with these people? It's just, it's actually very upsetting. There's a bit at the first few minutes, she's with her young baby, who's a boy. And this kind of thing is told in flashback throughout the episode and throughout the series. Actually, I'm on the third episode now. But you never see that boy again. So something awful has happened. And it's just, it really struck a chord in me. It kept me up that night because I was so bloody scared. And then the whole stuff about the racism really affected me. Somebody described this as they felt rattled, and that's exactly. And I mean, that is just really good. If something just shakes you, it's really, really good.
I think this is the highest recommendation we've ever got from you, Sue. I think that this sounds amazing. So Them, it's out on Amazon Prime and it is out this Friday. Next up, we're going to Sky and Now TV.
Oh yeah. Now this is a little bit depressing. So I know this much is true, and this is kind of one that was always in the background of all the big series that they've been talking around the Golden Globes and stuff. The Crown is just sweeping everything every time it goes into an award ceremony, but this one's always been kind of lurking in the background. And Ruffalo picked up the SAG Award last week for this, and I was like, okay, I really have to check this out, because obviously he's brilliant in it, because he picked up the Golden Globe, he picked up the Emmy. He plays twins in it, Dominic and Thomas. Thomas is schizophrenic. He has really awful mental health issues. He's on a lot of medication, but when every now and again he just has a bit of a blip and things go wrong for him. His mother has died from breast cancer. They have a stepfather who was very abusive when they were younger, and his wife has left him. So you're just like, this is a lot to take in the first episode. But what is brilliant about it is Ruffalo's performance as the twins. He is he just has a slight accent change when he plays Dominic, and Thomas is just a little bit more slumped and weight of the world on his shoulders, and it's unbelievable like, I can't imagine the amount of work that goes into playing two different characters in the same series. It's just mind-blowing. So it's worth it for Ruffalo's performance, but a bit of a health warning. Like, the end of the first episode is very distressing, because the brother, in the first few minutes of the episode, the brother goes into a library with a huge knife and decides he's going to cut his hand off. And he decides that this is his sacrifice. So he's taken into custody. He ends up in another hospital that's not the hospital he's meant to be in. And his brother is trying to get him out. And it is very, very distressing. Right. And when the credits rolled, I just went, I don't think I can watch another episode of this right now. Okay. So very, very good. Really good. But honestly, just be prepared for how depressing it is. It is very depressing. Bit
of a hard watch. Next up, and I know Shane Hannon's very excited about this. What have we potentially missed? You might have missed a lot here, which just rolls off the tongue. What is it this week?
My octopus teacher. And can I just say, I was telling my husband about this, and he came into the room when I was watching it, and he was like, I thought you were talking about an animation. This is a real life man who's friends with an octopus. And I was like, yes. So there's this filmmaker, Craig Forrester, he has a bit of a breakdown at the start of the documentary, decides he doesn't want to film anymore, couldn't go into an edit suite, and decides he's just going to connect with the ocean and go back to nature. But he finds an octopus and ends up visiting that same octopus for the next 304 days in the same place, and records everything about that octopus life. And it's actually, like, it sounds like the maddest thing in the world, because honestly, when I read it, I was like, what? And then there's, like, some of the scenes you're like, oh, that's so lovely, they're friends. And it's just very hard to dislike. Like, I know Shane's obsessed with it as well. I just think it's so good.
What's so good about it, Shane?
I think, like, Sue summed it up quite perfectly in our email thread before we came on air. She said, I never thought I could feel this way about an octopus I've never met. And, like, I haven't met many octopuses in my time, but, like, this one I just fell for. It's his relationship between the octopus, and, like, there's even a moment in the film where, you know, this pajama shark attacks the octopus. Pajama sharks, they sound friendly, like a slumber party shark, but they're not friendly. Certainly not to octopuses. But it's the octopus loses an arm in this incident and retreats to her den to recover, and then slowly regenerates the arm over, I think it's a period of maybe 3 months. So it's like a really slow version of James Franco in 127 hours if James Franco was an octopus. But it's really, really, you can't take your eyes off it. I mean, there'll be tears as well. There are some deeper meanings behind it. I think it was filmed maybe 11 years ago. It was filmed in 2010. So it's just this beautiful relationship between a man and an octopus. And even when I was reading the premise of the film, they're kind of talking about this relationship the man has, an intimate relationship the man has with the octopus, which kind of creeped me out a little bit. But
me too.
Give it a chance. Oh, just give it a chance. It's an incredible watch, and one that I couldn't recommend highly enough.
Like, are we putting this guy ahead of Paul the Octopus? Remember, hero of World Cup 2010, Rabiot the psychic, octopus, hero of the 2018 World Cup. Octopuses don't have a bad rap. Octopuses are one of the most beloved creatures in the world, especially in the sports sphere. I'm sure most of our audience this morning are massive octopuses fans. So, or what's the plural of octopus fans? So I don't know what it is. So you've done us a solid here by giving this. So my octopus teacher, definitely worth a watch.
It's Oscar nominated. It is very, very, very good.
Peter Emma has been in touch on YouTube to say, where is Owen's weekly watch of Married at First Sight Australia season 6? This is a joke. It is no longer a joke. I had time over Easter to sit down and binge another bit of season 6 of the Australia version, and once they go on honeymoon, it goes to a whole new level. It is absolutely unbelievable stuff. Again, you're talking about an octopus documentary being nominated for an Oscar. If they made a Married at First Sight 20-hour film, it would be nominated for every Oscar under the sun. It is the greatest television show of all time. There's this great line where there's this married couple, obviously, and they're just back from a yacht on their honeymoon. They've known each other for like 4 days, and she's finally beginning to tell his life story. She's talking for about 2 minutes, and he starts to be like, yeah, nice day, isn't it? Like a really harrowing backstory. And he's like, yeah, lovely day. And then he's like talking to the camera being like, oh, I just can't concentrate on her. Then he turns around to her and is like, I'm not your bleeding therapist. And it's just explosion after explosion after explosion. And get the popcorn out. It's the best thing on television. Forget the highbrow Sue Murphy picks. Married at First Sight season 6 Australia is where it's at.
Thanks.
Sue, thanks a million.
Thanks very much.
Sue Murphy with us every Thursday morning here, going through the best things to watch, some of the things you might have missed, and some brilliant suggestions there this week. So My Octopus Teacher was the last one she was talking about. I Know This Much Is True is the Mark Ruffalo show she was talking about, and Them, which is dropping on Amazon Prime this Friday, which seems like it's going to be scary as hell. Right, at 9:36 on this Thursday morning, we have been watching OTB AM, which is live in association with Gillette. Good morning start with Gillette, giving you the confidence to tackle the day ahead.